Welcome to the Trump Breaking News Network, your daily source for up-to-the-minute Trump news. Join us today and every day. Here's today's news.
This is TBNN.
Mainstream media silent as 1,500 pedophiles arrested in the United States since Trump was elected. President Donald Trump is making good on his pledge to use the full force and weight of the U.S. government to break up child sex trafficking rings and lock up sexual predators. Since Trump was sworn in, authorities have arrested more than 1,500 pedophiles in the United States. This should be one of the biggest stories in the national news. Instead, the mainstream media has barely, if at all, covered any of these mass pedophile arrests. This begs the question, why? Liz Crokin wrote for townhall.com on February 25. The numbers are staggering when compared to the less than 400 sex trafficking-related arrests made in 2014 according to the FBI. Trump Executive Order Human Trafficking Pedophile Arrests. President Donald Trump issued an executive order giving the FBI extra power to crack down on human trafficking offenses. In a press conference from the White House on February 23, Trump addressed how human trafficking is a dire problem domestically and internationally. Dedicated men and women across the federal government have focused on this for some time. As you know, it's been much more focused over the last 4 weeks, he said. The press conference was barely a blip in the mainstream media, and the massive arrests have been almost completely ignored by the MSM altogether, Crokin wrote. Crokin noted some of the major arrests that have been made since Trump took office. On January 27, authorities arrested 42 in a human trafficking operation in Tennessee. On January 29, authorities announced that 474 were arrested in a statewide California human trafficking operation and 28 sexually exploited children were rescued. 178 people were arrested in Texas for sex trafficking and sting that operated in January until Super Bowl Sunday. On February 14, the Polk County Sheriff announced that 42 were arrested in Florida in child pornography-related cases. Meanwhile, as the major media ignored these historical arrests, they have zeroed in on casting conservative icon Milo Yiannopoulos as a monster, Crokin wrote. They claim he supports pedophilia based on comments he made in a video years ago. The reality is Milo was a victim of child sex abuse, and although he did joke about his abuse in an interview, he in no way promotes pedophilia. The opposite is true, and he addressed this controversy head-on in the press conference. Milo has personally taken down and exposed pedophiles in his columns over the years. However, the mainstream media and the left ignored this information and demonized Milo. The irony of all this is that the left and MSM have been the biggest proponents of pedophilia. Salon has published articles attempting to normalize pedophilia, however, to maintain their faux outrage over Milo, they deleted them. Crokin continued, the face of the very fake news network CNN, Jake Tapper, fired off several tweets condemning Milo. For example, he tweeted, "My friend, a survivor of sex trafficking, Milo straight up defended abusing 13-year-old boys. Please don't let that be normalized." If Tapper is so concerned with sex trafficking, why in the world hasn't he covered the massive sex trafficking arrests that have taken place since Trump took office? It seems he, and many in the leftist media, are only concerned with sex trafficking if it can be used to destroy a conservative, Crokin wrote. The good news, Crokin noted, is that we have a president who genuinely does care about children, and he's vowed to make solving the human trafficking epidemic a priority. The recent pedophile arrests are just the tip of the iceberg, and, whether Tapper and his ilk in the MSM like it or not, this story will eventually get so big that they will be forced to cover this horrific epidemic that has plagued our country for too damn long.
That's the news. Join us here every day. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell. See you next time.
This is TBNN.